Hello, everyone. This is David Scott Peters with therestaurantexpert.com, and I'm thrilled you're on today's Mastermind webinar. Today, we're going to talk about how to use an organizational chart to improve your restaurant operations. What the hell does that mean, right? This is all about defining roles. It's defining clear expectations that everybody knows what their job is, how to do it, how well it should be done, by when. It's to ensure that we no longer have people thinking they're doing each other's job. Especially in family organizations, we often have one family member saying, man, if you get out of the office, I could get in there to get some work done. The other person's in the office saying, I'm doing your job. You should get in here and get this done. And if you could, I could get out on the floor and do some other things. Let's not make an assumption that we know what everybody's jobs are. It also irons out conflict. Let's say you're a husband-wife and the wife is in charge of the books, the husband's in charge of the operations, and all of a sudden we get down to the bottom line. It's time for the P&Ls. Where are the P&Ls? And the wife says, hey, man, the kids were sick, and Susie had a recital, and Jenny had to go to soccer, and da-da-da. And we come up with all these reasons why we didn't get the job done, and they're all valid because they're our spouse, not our business partner. Whereas when we're clearly defined that the books need to be done by the 5th of every month, reconciled by the 15th, meaning it gives us an opportunity to put in what the actual power bill is and so on, we can make sure we get that done. Now, there's a question on here, is this webinar audio only? I show that I'm showing my screen, so hopefully everybody can see how to use an organizational chart to improve your restaurant. If, Joey, you're not seeing that, I want to make sure you clicked on the link that came with it, which allows you to bring up your go-to or your Join Me screen, or make sure that you bring up the window. If you minimized it, it should be down below. So hopefully we get that all taken care of. If you have any trouble with that, do me a favor, call our support line, and one of our support people can help walk you through to make sure you're logged in properly. So back to the webinar, what we're going to learn today. We're going to learn why organizational chart is important. We're going to learn the 3 steps to defining your roles. We're going to learn the step-by-step process to completing your organizational chart, and I'm going to give you tips to make your chart work for you, including going in and out of an Excel spreadsheet to show you what we have there. So let's start off. Why are organizational charts so important to our business? Well, there's a book everyone on this call should have read by now. If you spend any time with me, I've always recommended this book. I love it because it really emphasizes the use of systems. So much so that Michael Gerber follows the life of a woman who owns a pie shop, and by the time you're finished says, oh, you need to create systems. Well, guess what? You're a member of the restaurantexpert.com. We've got all those systems created for you. All we need to do is teach you how to use them, help you implement them so you can get the change in your business. So you don't have to worry about the creation part. We've got that for you. Well, one of the takeaways in the book, The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber, is that he says you've got to have an organizational chart. You need to have an organizational chart. Now, for many of us, we think, well, that's big company stuff. I'm just an independent single unit operator. Heck, I'm a mom and pop. Well, we want to take you from being a mom and pop to an independent operator. Okay, but I'm an independent operator. What the heck do I need an organizational chart? There's an owner, there's a manager, there's a chef or kitchen manager, and their employees. What the hell do I need that for? Well, let's put it in perspective. Let's first understand that why I need an org chart. And that is this. You need an org chart for everybody knows what their job is, how to do it, how well it should be done, by when. You need it. That sounds like job description. Yeah, it is. But it is defined based on a position, not a person. See, all too often in our industry, what do? We start growing, and we get excited about the growth, and we need help. And we sit there and say, man, I need help. I'm not good with computers. I need somebody to help with this. I'm not good with training. I need somebody to help with this. And you look out at your staff and you say, you know what? Sally's a phenomenal trainer. Sally's great with organization. She's no good with computers. I need help. Well, we talk Sally into becoming a manager or supervisor or doing something extra for us. And because Sally can't, 1, use a computer, and 2, has daycare issues, we're going to make it that she doesn't have to use a computer. Somebody else is going to do that. And she's only going to have to be in the office from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. What that means is I've got her, and I'm getting good things from from Sally. She's doing a great job for me. But as you join with the restaurantexpert.com and we start setting expectations of your management team, well, you're going to find that the other managers, one, have a little bit of animosity for Sally. Why? You go into your 1-hour manager meeting and you get into your I've got verbal diarrhea mode. Pot calling the kettle black, right? I need an agenda to keep me on pace. Well, with that said, your 1-hour meeting becomes 2. It becomes 3 hours. And halfway through that 3-hour manager meeting, up stands Sally, says, bye, everybody, and leaves because she's got to pick up her kid. Well, every other manager looks at her cross-eyed, thinking in the back of their brain, why the F does she get to leave and I got to listen to all this stuff, right? What makes her so special? So think about it. Have you created special managers on your team that have special circumstances? Now, I'm not telling you shouldn't have done that in the first place. You got to take care of your business. You've got to do what you think's right at the time. But in order to go to the next level, we've got to have defined positions, not people. With that said, Michael Gerber says you need to create an organizational chart. Well, let me read the quote. Without an organizational chart, confusion, discord, and conflict become the order of day. But with it, the direction, purpose, and style of the business are balanced, interacting, purposeful, and progressing with intention and integrity towards a cohesive and sensible whole. Oh my goodness, that is so smart, right? What does he mean? Hey man, if people know what their job is, how to do it, how well it should be done, and who's responsible for it, and each piece, there's great communication. The organization works well. That's it. Now, the other part Michael Gerber is going to say when you read the book, it says, create the organizational chart for the company you hope to have, not the one you have today. Remember that special manager, Sally, who has a special schedule and special job duties that everybody else has to do everything, but she has something special? I don't care who you have on your team right now. I don't care how long they've worked for you. I don't care if they're family. They don't exist. Right now, what I want you to do is imagine you've got nobody. It's a brand new company. And I want you to build the organizational chart you hope to have in the future, the business you hope to have in the future, not the one you have today. So that means if you're going to start franchising, I need a director of franchise development. I need a compliance officer. I need a CFO, whatever it may be. If your plans are owning 3 locations or just 1, but you want to expand in catering and handle events and you want to do retail and all those things, and if that means other new positions you don't have today, I want you to think about that. I want you to think about if you had all the money in the world and this was the most successful business you could possibly have, would you have a CFO, a chief financial officer? Would you have a chief operating officer? Would you have a president? Would you have a vice president? Would you have a marketing director? Assume nothing, meaning none of your people that work on your team right now have anything to do with what we're about to create. Create your dream organizational chart for the company you hope to have, not the one you have today. Does that make sense? Again, don't think about the people you have today and what positions they are in. What do you hope your company is going to look like in the future when all's said and done? Now, here's the 3 steps to defining roles. Once we create that organizational chart, what do? Well, number 1, create your organizational chart for the company you hope to have. 2, assign the job duties for each position. Now, Michael Gerber says create a job description for each position. Well, he doesn't write a job description the way we do. We write it as, here's what the job is, how to do it, how well it should be done, and more importantly, by when. Now, I'm going to add that step into his process. But to start off, we're going to list out all the tasks that each manager does. We're going to add the what, when, how well in a moment. Last but not least, we now assign people's names to each position we've created in our organizational chart. That means one of the owners may be on 5 of those positions. Another owner may be on 1. A manager may be on 3 positions. A line employee may be a line employee in one and a catering salesperson on another. So each person may wear multiple hats. But what happens is when we map out the organizational chart for the company we hope to have, not the one we have today, when we list out all of the tasks and eventually create a job description for each of those positions, and then we assign people's names to them, we know exactly what people are responsible for. And if somebody has multiple positions, we know that they're responsible for all those duties. And then when we have the money to hire more management to take on those tasks, we hire somebody and we know exactly what we're giving away. We're not reinventing yet another position for somebody who's good at this, bad at that. We hire them for the job. We train them for the job, but we know exactly what job we're giving away, that we're taking our name off that second position, third or fifth position, and we're adding somebody's new name to that, and we know exactly what that job is. This is really important as we look at growing and having structure in our business. So here's step one. Let's create the organizational chart. Now, at the end of this webinar, when I've gone through the teaching part, I'm going to show you how you do this in Excel. One of my members actually went on YouTube, figured out how to do it, gave me the YouTube link. I've learned how to do it, and it's phenomenal. It's going to make this step extremely easy and powerful for you. Now, with that said, what do I have here? I'm going to show you two restaurants. Let's say this is a small restaurant, has an owner, and then somebody's going to do accounts payable and accounts receivable. Somebody's going to handle the QuickBooks. There's a general manager, then an MIT, two MITs, which are managers in training in our world. That might be a supervisor in your world, an hourly manager. I don't care what level, they're going to cover shifts on the floor. We have an AM FOH, which is assistant manager for front of house, an AM bar, an assistant manager in charge of the bar, a KM, which is a kitchen manager, and under each, our assistant manager in front of house is in charge of the trainer in the expo, and the kitchen manager is in charge of two shift supervisors in the kitchen. So again, you can see, very simple, but then we can get bigger. We can say I have a bigger company. I've got the owners, and then I've got a general manager, and there's also marketing manager and an accounting manager. Underneath the GM, there's an AGM, an assistant GM. Well, underneath the marketing manager is a marketing assistant, but notice the GM, right, is not in charge of the marketing people. The owner is. The GM is not in charge of the accounting. The owner is, and the accounts payable receivable person is right under there. Well, the assistant general manager is next in line, and then we come in assistant manager in charge of training, bar manager, front of house manager, kitchen manager, banquet and catering manager. And below them, we have positions, supervisor levels, or trainers that they're responsible for. Now, you can build this any way you want. You start talking, one of our members is looking to franchise. We literally built out a CFO, a COO, a brand manager. We moved all these things out, and then underneath there were salespeople, there were compliance people, there were operations, there were district managers. What do you hope to build? What is the company you hope to have, not the one you have today? So it is I want to be 100% crystal clear that when you're looking at this slide right here, that notice there are no names on these. I don't care who works for you now. It is critical that you ignore anybody who works for you. Don't be thinking about, well, Jenny does this and put that on your org chart. I don't care. No people's names. Nobody who works for you. In a perfect world, when you build the company you hope to have, not the one you have today, when it's all said and done, the most successful company, the way it looks for you, has what people? Hopefully I'm clear on that. Now, what about step two? Step two is one of the things I want you to think about. Dan Carr and Candy Meekum, along with their project manager, Tiffany, one of our members at Visconti's out in the West Coast, Washington. I helped them with this project, and I will tell you that I was floored and I was pleased because for 13 years I've been helping people with organizational charts, and I learned something new every single day. Tiffany happens to be a very organized person. Again, project management, very organized, and what have you. So she added a couple steps to the approach that I have that made it so much better that I'm going to share with you. First thing is, She went and said, okay, let's list out all of the tasks that need to be done in the restaurant. Restaurant staffing, employee files, payrolls, training the staff, ordering food, beverage, paper, janitorial, uniforms, equipment upkeep, programming the POS system, line checks, printing menus and upkeep, specials, budgeting, budget variances. You can see all these things. And notice there's a ... There's a whole bunch more. I want everything listed out from buying light bulbs all the way through calculating dollars per labor hour worked. So think about it. What happens in your business on a day-to-day basis, whether it's batching out the credit cards, programming the point-of-sale system, making sure checklists are followed through, training systems are implemented, employee files are upkeep. Put all those things, list them all out, one at a time, one at a time, one at a time, all the tasks. Because the next step, once we have all those tasks written out, we can put next to them what position in that organizational chart would be responsible for it. So look here. Let's say our general manager. Do your list. They're in charge of hiring and they're responsible for hiring and training, leading, managing the schedule, growth, controlling margins, labor costs, cost of goods sold, marketing ideas, procedures, anything in the site of customers and employees that it's in working order. We've got cash controls and budgeting and forecasting and dollars per labor hour and pre-shift meetings and manager checklists, and the list goes on. Right? We know that the general manager is responsible for this. So depending on what your positions are, you know that all the tasks that need to happen, we're going to assign them to a specific job from that org chart. In this case, the general manager, here's a short list of those things that need to be done. Now, what's that next step? Now, I told you, this is what Michael Gerber might call a job description, but that's not good enough for me. And I want to share with you a change that in working with Dan, Candy, and Tiffany, that was a big aha moment for me. That the way Tiffany and Dan and Candy approached this exercise was kind of groundbreaking, earth-shattering, if you will, for me. I always taught go from the top down. Well, we want to do just the opposite. You want to start with your line cook, your prep cook, your dishwasher, move to your sous chef, to your chef, up to your general manager. Why? Because there are people who do the task, there are people who oversee the task, and there are people who approve the task. And those two things just changed my world when I talk about working with you and your organizational charts. There are people who do the task, there are people who oversee the task, and there are people who approve the task, right? There's a very difference between all those. So let's look at this. I'd start and write my line cook first. Well, we know that ordering products is something that might belong on the line cook, on the sous chef, the chef, and the general manager. And let's just say ordering food. Well, in this case, in my restaurant, I'm going to have it that my line cook can actually do the counts for me in my walk-in cooler, dry storage, and so on, so that the sous chef can place the order. So the line cook grabs the count sheets, counts what needs to be ordered for the day, and so that a par level, when you put it in the Smart Systems Pro, will create the order for you that then needs to be edited. Well, the sous chef, once those counts have been in place, the sous chef is the one who's going to place the order. Well, the chef oversees that the sous chef is doing the job properly, ordering for the needs of the business, making sure they stay on budget. If for some reason there is theft, waste, spoilage, something going on in the business that requires we need more food than what's budgeted through the purchase allotment system, there's only one person in this restaurant that's allowed to approve orders that are above the budget, and that would be the general manager. See, the GM is not placing the order. Ultimately, who's responsible to make sure the order is done right is the chef. The chef is not placing the order. The chef is overseeing the sous chef who's actually placing the order. But if they go over budget, the general manager approves it. So this is very important. This whole mindset, instead of going from the general manager down to the line cook or dishwasher, spinning it from the line employee up to the management allows me to clearly define who actually does the task, who oversees the task, who approves the task. And that is huge because you're going to find that, again, food cost. Well, food cost, that's sous chef's responsibility, right? That's going to be the chef's responsibility. That's the general manager's responsibility. But ultimately, what is it? Well, there's going to be a whole bunch of tasks that are done by the sous chef, and the chef is going to make sure it's all accurate, and the general manager is going to make sure that everybody's on pace. Again, who does it, who oversees it, who approves it? There may not be 3 levels. There may be some tasks that the person does it and the person is in charge of it, approves it, right? Because they're so far up the food chain. There may be somebody who does it, somebody oversees it, and there's no approval needed. But think in these ways. So again, start from the bottom and make your way up. Now, here's a task. If we said our chef was responsible for food inventories, well, that's fine. Remember, that's a task, inventory. But that's not clear and concise. Now we need to add not only what the job is, but how to do it, how well it should be done, by when. Right? How well and when is so important. Now, I didn't add accuracy in there, and we'll talk about this. So food inventory are taken after the close Sunday night. You could say, or before opening on Monday, before any business is transacted. But if we stop there, that's not clear. What does that mean? To have accurate inventories, right, every Sunday, we have a couple things need to happen. Not only do we have counts, but during the week, all invoices have to be put into Smart Systems Pro on a daily basis. This way we ensure that all of the prices are up to date. So not only is our next order up to date and all our recipe costing cards are up to date, but when we place an order, it's based on FIFO accounting, first in, first out. The more recent price that we paid is what's sitting on the shelves. So are all my prices up to date? So when I count it, it's got the right value. All new products, if we have an invoice comes in and it's a brand new product, were they created and assigned an inventory location and assigned a unit of measure in Smart Systems Pro? So let's say I brought in a new sirloin steak, cryovac. I'm not butchering myself. I'm a casual concept. And when it comes in and it's X number of pounds, well, it's brand new. Got to tell Smart Systems Pro what that pack size is, how I buy it, how I store it, how I'm going to use it, if it's got any yield to it. And then I've got to assign it to its inventory locations that it can be counted, that it's in the walk-in cooler by the case in the 25th position. And on the line, I skip all the way down to the steak and by the usage unit, and I count by the eaches. You name it. Is it a product that is in the system? If it's not, I need to bring it in, make it usable, assign it a location, and how I want it counted. It also means that during the week, if I add any new batch recipes, any sauces, side dishes, desserts, anything that I manufacture myself in the kitchen, were batch recipe cards created, and were they assigned an inventory location and unit of measure? I want it by the batch, which is a cookie sheet. I want it by the storage unit, which is a 9th pan. And on the line, I want it by the ounce. Doesn't matter. Remember, you set up your batch recipes to have a batch unit, a storage unit, and a usage unit. Well, I've got to make sure that all my products and all my batch recipes have been created and assigned an inventory location because we've set up a shelf-to-sheet inventory system. So if it doesn't show up on there, we're going to skip a product. We're going to have inaccurate inventories. So very, very important that we ensure that everything's in there before we ever print off that Sunday night inventory count sheet or go around with an iPad or computer to make sure that we're working on an accurate inventory. Next, once I've counted all that stuff, and I know that through the week everything was right, I need to make sure that inventory is entered, edited for any mistakes, verified that it's accurate by 2 o'clock Monday afternoon. So I count it Sunday night, come in Monday morning, somebody's got to put it in the system, somebody's got to make sure that when things don't look right, that I've got $35,000 in shredded cheese, that somebody counted ounces, it had a case price, that I changed the unit of measure or so that it updates properly, and I make sure my inventory is right, I make the edits, everything looks good, I look at my food cost as the chef and I see that it's a little bit off, I go to my invoices, notice we're missing a couple invoices, put that product back into stock by putting those invoices in. I go through all this process. By 2 o'clock, I feel good that my numbers are right. And last but not least, when it's complete and accurate, text the general manager that your food cost for the week is ready for their review. I bless it. This is accurate. These are my numbers. Well, look at all these steps. That's a far cry from what? You take inventories. What does taking inventory mean? That is such gray area. So the only thing I would add to this is how well you want it done, right? We've got the by when and what with 100% accuracy, right? We've already got by a certain time and so on. The only thing I'm probably missing is with 100% accuracy. So for every task that needs to be done, what is it? Well, I'm going to back up one slide. Remember, not only do I have to say what it is, but who does it, who oversees it, who approves it. So going back and looking at this, is chef the one, well, we have to decide in this restaurant, chef is taking inventory. In your restaurant, the sous chef may be the one taking inventory, and it may be that chef is overseeing the inventory. Chef is overseeing that everything was put into Smart Systems Pro. The sous chef is the one who does it. The chef may be the one who oversees that it's accurate and verified. It may be the sous chef who does it. It may be the chef that makes sure the sous chef tests the general manager. It may be the sous chef that actually texts, right? So understand, I don't care who works for you now. What is the position? What are the tasks? How well do you want it done? What do you want done? How well you want it done? By when? List out all of the things all the steps that have to happen, because this is just taking a food inventory. Yet we've got a full slide full of things to be done. Now, let's look at the sous chef. Let's say I was mapping out the sous chef. This is kind of a stolen example from my friends at Visconti's and what they did, but I didn't share everything to them. They worked their butts off creating probably the best organizational chart and job descriptions that I've seen yet. So I just stole one little section here to show you what they did is they mapped out sections like core values, staffing, product procurement, inventory management, food cost management, food preparation, work environment, communication. They created categories that would be standard all the way through every position with some exceptions, meaning food cost management is not going to be in the bar, but that might be poor cost management. And labor management might be a large section that would be in all of them, but based on what? Their departments, their positions. So I stole from them the food cost management, the way they labeled it. And that follows accurate and current recipe cards, maintains and updates recipe books and menu book weekly, prepare and assigns daily prep sheets, enters and reviews daily waste sheets, enters and reviews daily key item report. See, it's not just food cost management, it's all these tasks. And then you could break down any of the steps you wanted to. See, there's this hidden benefit to going to this kind of detail. You go one step further, for instance, enters and reviews daily key item reports. Well, you could create an SOP manual, standard operating procedure manual. And in that manual, it'll map out the step-by-step on how to use the key item report. Beautiful part for you all, because you're a part of Smart Systems Pro, we've got the Smart Restaurant Manual, which is the operations manual and management training program, where much of this is already mapped out. You've got the SSP manual, Smart Systems Pro manual, which has the step-by-step procedures for the software. You've got the full service and quick service training templates, which has job descriptions and training systems and all this information. Most of this is damn near ready for you just to edit and add those things. But again, you've got to take the time. And this, by the way, is not a 2-hour project. This may be months of work. I'm not kidding, months of work, because it is about being as clear and concise as possible. Once we have all of this listed out, the organizational chart for the company we hope to have, not the one we have. Once I've listed out all of the tasks that happen in my business and assigned them to one of the positions, then mapped out detailed information on each of those tasks, what the job is, how to do it, how well it should be done, by when. I've now created job descriptions for each one of my positions. I now go and I assign a person's name to each position. You'll notice I have Mrs. and Mr. Micromanager, a husband-wife team, that together are the GM, together are the marketing manager, together accounting. Well, honestly, what would I normally do? I would make sure that one of them was in charge of each of those things, meaning we're husband-wife as the owners. One might be in charge of marketing, the other in part of the one of the people may be the accountant, another or one would be the GM, one in each one of those roles. As we come down, we've got an outside marketing company. We have Sally Q Mentors, the AGM. We have a bookkeeper underneath who's in charge of accounting. Then we've got our trainer, our bar manager, front of house manager. That's Bill Smiley, Bill Bartender, Chris Server. Christina Culinary is our kitchen manager, and we have Bill Bartender. Notice Bill Bartender is now in 2 positions. He's also filling in as the banquet catering manager. Then we have trainers. Kyle OCD, he's a good guy. He's got a little OCD though, right? Linda Details is a trainer expo. In the kitchen under Christina the Culinary, the KM, we have Jose Alvarez as a shift supervisor, Joanne Smith, and Kyle OCD, who's a trainer, is also a banquet captain for Bill Bartender as a banquet catering manager. So I don't care how you lay this out, right? It is literally going to be built in a fashion that makes sense to you and what you want in your business. Now, here's what we learned, but let me break out of this. I want to show you a quick tip and how we can make this easy. This is something Dan taught me. Again, he learned it through a YouTube video, but I'm in Excel. And in Excel, I want you to go up here. There's Home. You'll notice where my mouse is in the upper left-hand side. Next to it, Insert. Then I want you to go to something called Smart Art. Watch this. I click on Smart Art, and a pop-up box appears. And what I want you to do is come down here to the section called Hierarchy. Now, the one that both Dan and I like a lot is this third one in. It says Name and Title Organizational Chart. Name and title, the third one over, 1, 2, 3. I click on it. I'm going to click OK. Now, in the middle comes this org chart. Well, it's got text in here, does not matter. There is an arrow key to the left-hand side. I want you to click on that. What that opens up is a text box. Now, I'm going to delete everything in here. I don't care what that is. I've got nothing in here. But watch this. I'm going to say Owners. And then I hit Enter. Now, by hitting Tab, notice it now puts them underneath. I'm going to put General Manager. Underneath the General Manager, right, I need to tab would be my Assistant General Manager. Underneath my Assistant General Manager, I'm going to tab again. Notice it now brings them lower. I'm going to have what? Let me go backwards. Wait, I made a mistake. I didn't want this. I'm going to backspace. I can go all the way through, hit here, and I'm going to put my chef. Now, that looks right to me. Owner, General Manager, AGM, and Chef. And underneath, I go click up here on the Manager, Assistant General Manager. I'm going to, I don't want somebody right next to him. I hit Tab. Now it puts them underneath. So underneath my Assistant GM, I've got a front of house manager, I've got a bar manager, and I've got an MIT and another MIT to cover all my shifts. So notice it places under. Now I go to my chef, I hit Enter, I tab over, and I've got a shift supervisor. Or no, let's do a sous chef. Sous chef, and under the sous chef, we've got a shift supervisor. Okay. Now let me make this larger so we can see. All I do is drag this open and it makes it larger. I can come up to the top here in this drop-down box and I can change the colors, 3D view. I can do all these things. I'm happy with the way it is. Now, once I built this, there's a couple other things that are neat tips I can show you. See this white box? Now, let me be very clear. Do not drag and drop any of these boxes and lines. As soon as you drag and drop, you break this. You must do everything you want in the text area over here on the left-hand side. With the exception, I've come in here, I'm going to click in this, double click on this box, and I'm going to say, I'm going to double click here and say, and the assistant GM, guess what? The AGM right now is Sue. We don't have one. And over here on my chef, I'm going to play chef, which is a joke for those of you who know me. I cannot cook. But notice, I've got here, oh, it went away. I clicked away. Once I click again inside the box where the graphs are, notice the text is there. But I can assign people. I can go one step further. I can right-click. I can come down to here that says hyperlink, and any job descriptions that I create. Now, I'm going to beg, borrow, and steal. I'm going to go into my, my documents here. My drop-down box. Here we go, documents. I'm going to go down to Visconti's. I'm not going to show you theirs. I'm just going to show you how I link this. If I go to Visconti's, got a lot of folders here. Sorry about that. I can find my front of house, or actually, and I'm on General Manager. Find the General Manager, click OK, and now what happens is I've hyperlinked that to this, which means later when I save this, I can click on it and open up the job description. This is a real time saver. I used to do this with Word documents and drawing lines and dragging and dropping and so on. So let's recap. Build the organizational chart for the company you hope to have, not the one you have. List out all the responsibilities or all the tasks that happen in your business. Assign them to one of these positions. Then create the job description, all the tasks that each of these positions do, and go into greater detail of what the job is, how to do it, how well it should be done, by when, and all the steps to complete that task, such as taking inventory requires all invoices put in, new products made usable, assigned a location, the unit of measure you want it counted, batch recipes, and so on. And then put names, third step, put names on each one of these, and we may have different names everywhere down here. Right? And it doesn't matter. We may have our names on multiple jobs. Doesn't matter, because when Sue and I, my wife and I, have conversations as owners, and actually I would, to be fair, this would be Sue and David Peters, then we'd have the general manager. She's in charge of the total operation, but we don't have the money or budget for an assistant general manager yet. At some point in time, that will be given away and assigned to somebody else, and we'll know exactly what it is. And we don't have the money for a chef, so I'd be the acting chef. So guess what? Even though the owners, the general manager works for the owners, guess who wins in the direction of the company if ultimately somebody had to make the call? It'd be Sue. Now with partners, what makes this really important is if I built this out and I came up here and I said I had my owners, I may want to have a whole nother level called COO, CFO, CIO, and I'm going to bring this All this other stuff up here, I'm just going to drag it up underneath the COO. Let me do this. Actually, it'll make life easier for me. You can drag and drop, but I'm going to go COO. And then look at this. All I do is tab. And now the operations of the business, the COO, is now responsible for all this other stuff, right? And that, that assistant general manager is in the wrong spot. Just tab. I just tab things over, and like magic, this whole thing starts to reshift itself. It's back into a way that makes sense for me and my business. Do everything in this text section. So that's what I have for you for organizational chart. If you need help with that, we can set up a coaching call and I can help walk you through this process. I want to tell you that this is incredibly important to your business. You want to reduce conflict. You want to make sure everything gets done. You want to make sure people go, that's not my job, or people are doing other people's jobs and they're falling short on what you think they should be doing. You need this organizational chart. It adds that piece of structure to your business that is incredibly empowering. Now, if anybody has any questions, what I want you to do is I want you to type them in the question box. But before you do that, I want you to click the raise your hand icon on the GoToWebinar controller that I know you're typing in a question in the question box. So again, at this point, I'm finished with what I have to teach. I will tell you to set up a coaching call with me, and I can help you with this process, guide you through it. But for the most part, right now, if you have any questions, click on the raise your hand icon on the question on your GoToWebinar controller and type, so I know you're typing in a question. Going once, going twice. Okay, Juan, I'll wait for your question to come through here. So again, if anybody else, I have one question being typed out as we speak. If anybody else has any questions, I'm just waiting for this one question to come across on the question box. I will answer it very quickly. And then if there are any other questions, we'll go from there. Question is, do I advise posting these charts throughout the restaurant? So that's an interesting question. I wouldn't necessarily post it throughout the restaurant, but I would make it clear. I would post a portion of it, if you will, or have in my training who's the right supervisor for what. So my management, they need to know the organizational chart. They need to know who's their boss and who's responsible for what. So yes, I would share the organizational chart with my management team. As far as my line employees, I might only share a section of the organizational chart in their world. Who's their boss? Who do they go to make sure that's all being done? Hopefully that answers your question. And it looks like you just went offline, so I may have lost you. If anybody else has any other questions, I'm going to lower the hand right now. Does anybody else have any other questions? If so, raise your hand icon. Going once, going twice. All right then. I want to thank everybody for being on today's Mastermind webinar. I'm going to post this like I always do. I'm going to tell you that this is a major project. It doesn't happen overnight. I will be happy to help you, guide you through this process, give you advice. I'm going to tell you that it is incredibly important and every one of you need to do it. You just have to decide it's important and make the time and understand that how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. This project is an elephant. This project is not something that happens overnight. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate being on today's Mastermind webinar. I look forward to talking to you and helping you very soon. I will talk to you next month, and hopefully I'll have something really exciting to show you. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.